Assalamu alaikum guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm here to tell you about what is GAT examination. Some students are too much worried. They don't know what is GAT examination, how to do it, what are the instructions that we need to follow. Okay, the GAT is basically graduate assessment test. It is the graduate assessment test. And there are two types for GAT. The first one is the GAT general, and the second one is the GAT subject. Okay, there are two types for GAT. The first one is the GAT general and the second one is the GAT the subject. So if you talk about the GAT general and the GAT subject, there is a big difference between GAT general and GAT subject. GAT general, it is basically used to get admission in MS, Mphil, and GAT subject, it is basically used to get admission in PhD. Okay, so I'm going to talk about GAT general. There are some instructions that we need to follow if we really want to pass. Okay, the first one is we must know that the GAT general is basically valid for 2 years. It will expire after 2 years. If a student really want to get admission, then he or she has to apply within 2 years. But if he or she apply after 2 years, then he or she can't get admission because the GAT test will expire. So you have to get admission during 2 years. Okay, the next point is the candidates with a minimum of 16 years of education are eligible to appear in the test. But if you have less than 16 years, then you can't apply. So you must have 16 years of education to apply for the GAT. For example, 16 years of education mean you must have like BS chemistry, BS physics, software engineering, BS mathematics, and so on. Okay, there are 2 points. The first one, it will valid for 2 years, and the second point is the candidate with a minimum education of 16 years. The third point is the GAT score, low or high. Okay, the candidates intended to improve the previous GAT score. For example, if a student get 50 marks or less than 50 marks, like if he or she get less than 50 marks, then it's mean he or she fail. So he can apply for the GAT and he can improve it. If he get more than 50 marks, then he can apply for the admission and he can improve as well. The other point is, the main point is, the mobile phone are not allowed. This is one of the main point that we must know, is the mobile phone are not allowed in test center. Okay, so I'm going to tell you about the pattern of GAT. In GAT test, it will consist of 3 parts. The first part is verbal, the second one is quantitative, third one is analytical. There will be three parts. The first one is verbal, the second one is the quantitative, and the third one is the analytical. So if you talk about the verbal part, there will be questions like grammar, tenses, word meaning, synonyms, something like this. Okay, in second part, which is quantitative part, there will be question related to mathematics. For example, age questions, percentage questions, trigonometry, algebra, geometry, and in third part, it is analytical part. It will consist of one paragraph. It can be small or large, and there will be some questions related to that paragraph. So we have to read this paragraph carefully, and then we can answer these questions. Okay, now I'm going to tell you about GAT general test tips. Test tips. How can we pass? We must know it. The first one is be confident. This is one of the important tips that we must have, that be confident. If you lose confidence, then we definitely will fail. The second one is, so there are three parts. The second tip is, if you really want to pass the GAT test, then we first have to solve verbal, because it will easy. The second is the quantitative. The first we have to solve verbal and then quantitative, and then we will solve analytical, because analytical is time taking, verbal it takes less time, and then we have to do quantitative first, verbal second, quantitative, and the third analytical. But in quantitative there will be mathematic related questions. In quantitative, if any question takes more time, then we have to skip it and please move forward. One of the main issue that is the time management. This is one of the important issue, and if we really want to pass GAT general, then we have to manage our time, and we can manage our time by following these steps. Like we have to solve verbal and then quantitative and then analytical. So I think you got it. The fourth point is, if we solve analytical part first, then we definitely will fail. So the most important tip is, we have to solve verbal and then quantitative and then analytical. So for verbal, we have to practice about the word meanings, the synonyms, preposition, something like this. And for quantitative, we have to practice about percentage questions, trigonometry, age questions, algebra questions, geometry questions. If you have any question, you can freely ask. Thank you so much.